Welcome! Today we are going to have the close reading of Lil Flap Learns to Fly from Unit 1, Week 1. Let us try to revise our weekly concept. Friends help friends. Essential question: how do friends depend on each other? Genre: fantasy. Lil Flap learns to fly. Essential question: how do friends depend on each other? And in our story now, we are going to check how friends depend on each other. Lil Flap was happy living in his nest. His friends Fluff and Toff lived in the nest next to him. Every morning they sang songs together. Their parents brought them worms to eat. Here in paragraph 1, let us underline the words that tell where Little Flap lives. So where does Little Flap live? That is correct, in the nest. Please try to underline that too in your book. Now when we say learn, that means to study. Our question now is, circle the words that tell you what the birds need to learn. Let me reread the last three sentences of this page. One day, Fluff asked, "Can we get our own worms?" Toff said, "We can if we learn to fly." Fluff said, "Yes, let's learn to fly." So what are the words that tell you what the birds need to learn? Circle it. Very good. They need to learn how to fly. And the next question is, box the sentence that tells you why the birds need to learn how to fly. Why do they need to learn to fly? That is right, so that they can go get their own worms. So they can eat by themselves, not just waiting for their parents to bring them worms to eat. Reread the page. Box the sentence that tells what Lil Flap's secret is. Now I will reread the page. Lil Flap peered over the edge of his nest. It was very high up. When he looked down, the ground seemed very far away. He felt scared. He was too afraid to tell his friends about his fear, so he kept his feelings a secret. Fluff said, "Let's practice flapping your wings. It will make them strong." Watch! Toff and Lil Flap watched Fluff. Then they copied her actions. Now what is Little Flap's secret? Box the sentence. Yes, so this is his secret. He is afraid to tell his friends about his fear. Because when he looked down, the ground seemed so far away, so he was so scared. Now, this is a good detail of our story. You have to take note of that. That means it is important. Now, underline the word that tells how Little Flap feels when he is looking down. We have said that earlier. That is right. He is scared when he's looking down. Now, can you please circle the word flapping in your book and then write the meaning moving the wings up and down. That is what they did so they can practice to make their wings strong. Reread the first paragraph. Why is Little Flap afraid to fly? So let me reread. Soon it was time to fly. Lil Flap could no longer keep his feelings a secret. He asked, "Will I fall? I don't want to get hurt." So, what is the real reason why he is afraid to fly? Yes, because he doesn't want to get hurt. He is afraid that he might fall. And again, this is another important part of our story. It's a key detail. Circle who will save Little Flap in the picture. Now, look at the picture. Let us circle that. Yes, so who's going to save Little Flap in the picture? Those are Fluff and Toff. Reread the last paragraph. Box the sentence that tells why Little Flap feels better now. So let's look at the last paragraph. I will reread. Little Flap looked down nervously. He still felt uneasy, but he felt braver with his friends. "Okay," he said, "let's try." So box the sentence that tells why Little Flap feels better now. Correct. He felt braver with his friends because they are going to help him and they promised to rescue him if he's going to fall. A branch is a part that grows out from a tree trunk. Circle the tree branch in the picture. We said illustration is very important in stories, in reading a fantasy story. So can you please circle the branch that you can see in the picture? Yes, that is the branch that grows out from a tree trunk. Now point to Little Flap in the picture. Underline the words in the story that tell what the birds do when they flap their wings. So now we have pointed to Little Flap in the picture, that is him with the green feather or clothes. Now let's underline the words in the story that tell what the birds do when they flap their wings. Yes, when they flap their wings, they lifted into the air. Now again, this is an important detail of our story, so take note of that. Last question of this page. Think about the beginning of the story. Why did Fluff want to learn to fly? Do you remember? That is right. Fluff said he wants to learn to fly so they could get their own worm. Now let us see in the last part of our story if the three little birds are going to get their own worm. To land means to come down after flying. Circle the words that show where they land. Let me read the first paragraph. All three little birds landed in a patch of soft green grass. Now circle the word that show where they land. Correct, in a patch of soft green grass. Reread the page. The birds learn to fly to get their own worms. Underline the words that tell who finds a big worm. I will reread the page. All three little birds landed in a patch of soft green grass. Little Flap said, "Now I know I can always depend on you, Fluff and Toff. You are my friends." Then he found a big juicy worm and shared it with his friends. Now, Little Flap likes flying. Can you underline now the words that tell who finds a big worm? Great job! Little Flap found a big worm. And Again, this is a key detail of our story. That means this is an important part also of our story. Now, box the sentence that shows how Little Flap is a good friend to Fluff and Puff. Because Fluff and Puff are good to him, so he must do something good to his friends too. Box that sentence that tell us. Great job! Then he found the big juicy worm and shared it with his friends. This shows how Little Flap is a good friend to Fluff and Puff. Now, this is the end of our story. Do you remember our essential question? Yes, how do friends depend on each other? We have found here that these friends, Fluff and Tough and Lil Flap, depend on each other. I hope you like the story. Have a nice day, everyone. Bye.